Wow, I don't get used to that shit. Does it say that for you too? The recording in
Yeah,
progress?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, nah, that shit bugs me out every time. All right.
I'm learning more stuff about Zoom.
Yeah, yo, honestly, Zoom has probably like not saved my life, but definitely made this whole podcasting thing so much easier. Like when it comes to having groups of people in the room, okay, that's when like you actually gotta start paying for stuff. Like I'm not paying for Zoom. I'm on the free plan right now. And like
Right.
the one-on-one calls, it's unlimited time. So like this could go on for hours and hours and it won't shut down. So that's definitely like one of the benefits of this thing. And like not having to go to people's
Yeah,
houses or have people come over. So I think it's definitely made the whole podcasting thing like a thousand times
that
easier.
is true.
Yeah. Hello
Yeah.
everyone. Welcome. If you're here, you know me. My name is Enrique. And with us today on Enrique's Entries, we have the one and only Marc-Baze.
What up? How's it going?
I'm
How
good.
y'all
How are
doing?
you?
Chilling. It's Sunday. It's the 4th of July, so I'm not outside popping fireworks. I feel good about that, especially with all the controversy uh
Mhm.
surrounding surrounding the 4th of July.
Oh yeah,
So
100%.
we in the crib. We working. We working.
Yes, sir. As we should be. We out here. We getting it done, doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. So, for those of you who don't know, Marc-Baze is a rapper out of Brooklyn, New York, and yeah, Brooklyn, right?
Brooklyn. Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right. All
Bushwick
right.
to be
Yeah.
exact. Yep.
All right. There we go. Repping Bushwick. I like it. What's it called? So yes, as well as being a rapper, Mark is also a producer. Correct me if I'm wrong. You engineer and do you mix your stuff as well?
No, I don't mix my stuff that I put out. I practice with
Okay.
it, but I don't mix my stuff that I put out.
Okay. Yeah, that's no problem. Multi-talented nonetheless, a man of many trades and crafts. And it's a pleasure to have you on here, man. Let me say, it's really great.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, of
We've been
course. I
talking about
appreciate.
it for a while. Like,
Yeah, a few years now, like all the way back from when we were working together. I won't mention the name of the place, don't want to get into that mumbo jumbo, but we worked together at a very famous museum in the city in which we live. I'll just put it at that.
yeah.
So I'll just get right into it. You have this track Marathon Man that came out about 2 weeks ago, right? Or 1 week? No, 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 no. The video came
um,
out like a
the
week
video
or
came
two.
out. Yep.
Yeah, so the
But the
track's been
song came
out
out.
for a
I just
minute.
got an email. I just got an email. The song been out for a month. So
Hey,
yeah.
all right. So I really like the song, and I don't see why a lot of other people wouldn't like the song. It's nice, 2 minutes. I'm not one for like track length or anything like that. Like I won't always listen to a 6.5 minute song, but I mean, if it's good, then it's good. But I really like your
Right.
song, and I was telling you this earlier because it's a quick 2 minute banger, and I feel like it's just like punch after punch after punch. Like there's no room to breathe. But I think that's a good thing because
Yeah.
I really love high energy, high intensity songs. Like that's the kind of song I listen to when I'm just biking. Like it helps me keep the pace, and it really just like it's like a get pumped mix. It really gives
Yeah.
me that. It really
Yeah.
gives me that feeling. So I really really like the song for that reason.
No, I appreciate it. That was done intentionally because like I feel like I've been working hard for an extended period of time and like just putting my all into projects. And I was like, let me just scale back a little bit. Still put the same effort, just be a little bit a little more thoughtful and spoon feed them. Don't give too much, because I feel like I've been given a lot and it hasn't been connecting the way that I wanted it to connect. So with Marathon Man, I was just like, I did the first verse very quick, and just like you, like I'm a perfectionist, so sometimes I work slower than I probably should. So the fact that I was able to complete the song very quick, I was like, you know what? Or the first verse, I was like, let me just leave it right here. I'm not gonna add a second verse to it. I'm just gonna and to be honest, it was just gonna be a rappy song. I didn't even know that it was gonna be called Marathon Man until I went to the studio and the engineer literally copied the first 8 bars and then put it at the end. I was like, oh, that's the hook. I guess it's the hook. So it wasn't my intentions for the song to be that short and kind of still have like a complete sound to it. Um, but it was my intentions to keep it short, spoon feed people, and make them want a little bit more. Like I did some little streaming review on Twitch the other day, put my song in there, and
Mhm.
people were like, "Oh man, damn, it's over already." I wanted to hear more. Like you was ripping that. I feel like you should have added a second verse, and I take that because that's literally what I wanted. I wanted you to want more.
Mhm.
And it was funny because they thought that I didn't make music or didn't know how to make a song because it was so short. And it's
Mhm.
like, you should look up this and how to make a song so that it's two verses. And I'm like, that was intentionally done. I have a bunch of songs that's 4 minutes long, 3 minutes long, two verses, three verses. I come out of
Mhm.
that era of hip hop. So this was intentionally done, you know,
Yeah, no, 100%.
especially with the short attention span, especially with the short attention span of the consumer now.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I feel like especially like honestly, I think Marathon Man is probably like the perfect song for like a TikTok trend because excuse me, because it's like 2 minutes long. That's like half a video right
yeah.
there.
I'm trying to figure out how I can get somebody from TikTok to do something to it, because I believe the same thing too, you know. But we'll see what happens. The reception has been great. I appreciate everybody who's tuned in, who shared it, who commented on the post. Like it means so much to me.
Yeah, no, it's really good too. And honestly, man, it's well deserved because you've been putting music out for a minute. Like I was actually I did a quick Dunkin' run before before we sat down to record and I was listening to Greatest Story Ever Told. And
Oh
like
man,
the difference in honestly like a difference in everything. Like your delivery is so much more confident in Marathon Man. Because you put that song out, like I was looking at it at the bottom of the, I think that album page on Spotify. You put that out in like what, 2018, right?
yep.
Yeah. So like the
2018. Wow, damn, you did a dive.
listen, man. So I like to do my research.
Yeah,
I like to when I have people on the show, I want to let them know that like I'm genuinely interested in their artistry and I'm not just somebody who's like, okay, you have a good song, so let's talk about it. Like I
right,
do the
right,
deep
right,
dive
right,
into
right.
people.
And that separates yourself. So.
Hmm.
Nah, G Set is that's actually my mother's favorite song.
Oh, really?
She really, yeah, she really loves the song. But I hate listening to it now. Like some of the old stuff that I have, I'm just like, I wish I could take it down, but I'm not that type of person. I want everyone to see where I came from, like
Hmm.
how much I've grown. If you listen to my older stuff, you see that I've been at this consistently. Um, but yeah, at the time I wrote the song, I thought it was pretty cool. I don't think the execution was great, but it's still a song that means a lot to me, especially because that's when my mother really started tuning into my music. And she started singing it when I would come down from college. I'm
Hmm.
like, yo, you was really listening? Like, pretty cool.
Yeah, man. No, that's great because like I know firsthand just how important like familial support can be, especially of those close to you, because like when you're just putting stuff out there and like yeah like your family knows you do it and stuff but they're not over here like oh I saw you were doing XYZ or I listened to this and like I really liked it like when that happens it can really be like a whole mindset change because you're like whoa okay if this person likes it then so many other people can like it and it just like it expands your horizons. I think it
Right.
really is something great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's
What.
definitely it's important to have family believing in you.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Even like,
Yeah.
I think that even just like when random strangers hit you up too, that's another one that's just like, holy shit. Like I want this person threw a fucking hole in the wall, and they're over here telling me my song is like the greatest ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
No.
said on one of my stories the other day,
Hmm.
um, most of the streams for Marathon Man has been coming outside of the country,
Oh
like
yeah, I remember
by
seeing that.
a large number. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy because I have the core people that support me, but there's a lot of people who follow me who hasn't tuned in.
Hmm.
And I recently had an epiphany where it was like the people that you know is not going to be the people to get you to the position that you want to be at. Is one, it's
100%.
going to be yourself. It's going to be
Hmm.
yourself, but you have to kind of leave the nest. You have to leave the nest, whether it's from your family, from your community. You got to like spread your wings on your own, find a fan base on your own, and just not expect too much from the people that's around you because that's how you get hurt more. When it's people who support you that you don't know, like you guys are thousands of miles away and they're tuning into your stuff, it makes it worth it. Of course, having people whose family tell you like, "Yo, you're doing great," continue, that's a big boost. But like you said, it's a mindset shift when someone else who you don't know tells you like, yo, keep going, keep going.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it was when I dropped my first chapter of my story just a couple weeks ago. Somebody I don't know, and I'll shout him out. Shout out to Mitch if you're listening. It really meant a lot to me. He just hit me up randomly. He DM'd me on Instagram. And I think that's what really caught me off guard because a lot of times when people would review my stuff on my blog, they would just do it there. But to actually get hit up on my personal page was by somebody I don't know through a hole in the wall was just like, God damn, this is really like resonating with people. And here I was like
Wow.
scared
What
to
was the
just
article?
like, oh no, it was the first chapter of my story. So it was just like
Okay.
just introducing everybody to the world, the characters. This guy Sam, he wakes up and from a really long night of partying, and he's just like, "Whoa, what the fuck is going on?" He's trying to figure out what happened, and then he walks into his kitchen. On the way, he sees his roommate. He's butt ass naked for whatever reason, and then he goes into the kitchen and he sees the girl that his roommate was hooking up with last night getting dressed as he's about to fucking pour himself cereal. And so it just goes on from there and there and spirals into everything. But
Right.
they just expressed to me how interesting it was and how it just felt real and authentic. And I was going for that, and to hear that it actually landed was just like, holy shit! Wow, okay, I think I could keep going with this.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
thank
amazing.
you. So let me ask you now, since you were talking about how Marathon Man's really like hitting outside of the country, like what parts of the world are you seeing the most exposure to or from rather?
Germany, Turkey, uh, like a lot of places in Europe. A lot
Nice.
of places in Europe. It's like it's surprising because it's like damn near like 10 different countries in Europe that's heavily streaming it from the streams
Mhm.
that's coming in. That's where majority of the streams are coming from. So that's pretty cool. And a couple Shazams as well. So it's
Oh
like
wow.
people are hearing it and wanting to know what the song is.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't have the list with me at the top of my head, but I know
That's fine.
Germany and Turkey really caught me off guard.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Because like I know that like outside the rest of the world, like yeah, there's like hip hop and rap scenes inside these respective countries, but just like they're always eating up what America puts out because I mean, more specifically here in New York, we're the birthplace of hip hop. You know, it was born in Cool Herc's basement in the Bronx. Like Wu Tang, especially, I know was a huge cultural shift for the world in terms of like accepting rap and stuff like that. And people are still trying to emulate that to the day in places like as far east as Poland. So I I love that for you,
Yeah.
man. That's really cool because like who's to say that your first tour isn't going to be in fucking Europe, you know?
It's like this. Whoever supports you, support you. Like feed them. Don't
Mhm.
as artists we can get caught up on the negatives a lot. When there's a lot of positives that's at hand as well. You know, maybe you're not getting the amount of views that you want, but set a goal for yourself and then, you know, attainable goals that you actually want to achieve.
Mhm.
If it's 5 listeners for this week, cool, reach 5 listeners. Find a way to reach 10 next week. Like everything doesn't have to be this big Drake level of success. What does success mean to you? Do you do it for the
Mhm.
love? Do you do it for the money? I know I do it for the love. So if that's where I'll be touring at, listen, I'm not greedy. I want to be able to take care of my family. I want to be able to reach as many people as possible. And how far that reach go, is God's plan.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
100%. Yeah, it's really good that you have that like that faith too because like not a lot of people have that. I feel like like not a lot of people have that in themselves as well as their art. And I feel like having that confidence in your creation as well as just yourself is key. Like so is the mental toughness because being an artist, it really is one of the like just a creative in general. It's one of the hardest things on earth because you more often than not you're bearing your soul in a way, you know, like you're putting yourself out there, and while you're putting yourself out there for people to listen to you, it also like sucks that you're opening yourself up to for others to ridicule you as well. But I mean, like that doesn't mean that you should listen to those people. It's just one of those unfortunate double-edged swords that happens because unfortunately, like regardless of whether or not people regardless of what they think, there's always going to be those few assholes who are like, oh, what is this? Oh, this shit is trash. But you don't got to listen to them, you know? But there
You're not
are,
gonna please everybody.
exactly.
You're not gonna please everybody.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like, it's all the more reason to just ignore those people. If you got like 10 people saying, yo, this is the best shit ever, or yo, I can't wait to hear what's next, and you got one person like, yo, what is this? There's no reason to listen to them.
Yeah. And when you have people who you would consider to be the haters, that just that shows how much you're making progress because you reach the audience outside of the people who mess with you just because they might know you.
Exactly.
So it got to somebody who doesn't like it. Like I said, you got to find the positives in everything.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah, and that's key. I wish that's something that a lot of more people just really paid attention to because like I can't tell you how many people I know who have just stopped what they were doing because they were like receiving some kind of negative feedback. And I get that not everybody can handle it, but it's just unfortunate. I feel like it's maybe because of today's world and like the ease of access and the internet and how a lot of things just feel like seem superficial online and people are always aspiring to be like other people or like you were saying to pull Drake numbers and then they don't get that on the first hit. It's
Mhm.
discouraging. But I don't know. I just wish more people subscribe to that kind of mindset, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the love isn't there for it. Like you said, the ease of access. It literally costs $25, $15 to get in some. I seen people record for $10. It's literally super easy to step behind the mic and then call yourself a rapper after that because you're just standing in front of the mic or you took a picture in front of the mic.
Hmm.
Um, it's easy to say that you're a fashion designer when you have a garment or you bought a Hanes shirt and you paid $25 to do a print on it. You know,
Hmm.
so I think ultimately the work ethic has to be there. You have to be open to change, and you really have to care about it. Whatever it is that you're doing, you really have to care about it.
Yeah, 100%. Because like, how can like somebody can be a singer, songwriter, rapper, anywhere in the musical field and be like, oh, I'm going to be a superstar one day. But how can you go ahead and do that if you haven't even written a verse, let alone a whole song or album, you know?
True.
Yeah, like you got to take that first step to go somewhere. And
Yep.
that's key in doing anything, especially like having that goal, like you were saying earlier, or just like that passion for it is by far the most important thing. Because even when you're down and out, that passion is what's going to keep you there because you have that faith in yourself, that belief.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me ask you, because I don't think I've ever like properly asked you about it, but I think that now that we're on the podcast, this is probably the best place for you to give an answer to like the masses. So blurred vision, what is that
hmm
exactly? Is it like, I'll just let you answer.
If I can like give you a flat out answer and explain what it is,
Mhm.
uh, I would do it. But it's so many things.
Okay,
Ultimately, it's my brand.
got you.
Um, I don't market it as just clothes. Or it's literally just my brand, the mantra that I live by or try to live by.
Mhm.
Blurred is an acronym. It stands for Begin Life Under Regular Rules and Different. Actually have the hat
Oh,
on right now.
oh,
About to
okay,
switch
nice.
hats. Um, so yeah, it's my brand and it's what I try to use to push me. It started as a silent protest in an after school program that I was working at. I was 16 years old. I grew up in the after school program.
Mhm.
I've been in that after school program since 2001, since I was in grade school,
Oh,
and then
wow.
eventually went on to work in the after school program. So I saw the change from the Beacon program being at its best and then slowly changing to like them losing money and just not caring about the kids as much as they did back then.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was asking for certain things that we would normally be able to get for a performance, little things.
Mhm.
Can we just get a drum from the next building? Can we do this? Can we do that? And like I was just getting no and no and no. So I just stepped out and started doing things on my own. I got the t-shirts on my own. I wanted it to be like this NWO movement. Like I wanted the shirts to mirror NWO, but to I didn't have anything to put on the shirts. I didn't want to put NWO on the shirts because like I wasn't even as open I wasn't open to letting everybody know that I'm a wrestling fan. So I wasn't trying to put NWO on the shirts. Um, so I was listening to a song one day and Two Chains was like, um, something something sipping syrup with my vision blurred. And I was like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with that. I was like, vision blurred. That's gonna be the name of whatever this is. It's gonna be vision blurred. And then like it kind of sounds iffy. Switched the name around, blur vision, and yeah, my kids at the after school program really inspired that. Really inspired the movement, and then it it grew to where we are now. So now we have shirts. And I still just try to encourage people to be the best version of themselves. Begin life under regular rules and different. We don't choose the circumstances that we're born in, you
Mhm.
know. And if we knew the circumstances or we were aware of the circumstances at a young age, we would be able to have a better chance to end our lives differently rather than getting stuck in the cycle. So the whole um, the whole thing behind blurred vision is just like begin life under regular rules and different. Come into the world with the circumstances that you were born into and find a way to make it out, make it different for you and the people around you and different, you know?
Nice. That's really cool. I really like that message. Like I fuck with it heavy because I feel like a lot of the times when people try to put out a similar message, what a lot of people fail to realize is that you can't always like choose your circumstances. You know, like I think I'll use like a rich person, poor person example because I feel like that's like one of the easiest ways where they're like,
Yeah.
oh, the rich get rich because of how they think. And excuse me, they're not yeah, mainly just like the mindset thing, but they fail to understand that like not poor people are yes born poor, but they're also like not like you're saying. You're sometimes you're born to these circumstances in which you can't control, and a lot of I feel like people forget that these aren't things that you well I said you can control. Sorry, I'm trying to be like super wary of how I'm wording it, and now I'm just fucking overthinking
Hmm.
everything I'm saying.
Nah,
But
nah, nah. You're making a lot of sense.
but yeah, like what I'm trying to say is just like that's something that gets lost. People forget that you can't always control the circumstances that you're born into, but what you can do is change that outcome, you know, be it through work ethic, be it through taking advantage of an opportunity that was presented to you, like be it through some way, shape, or form similar to that. But really like that for real. And
Yeah.
especially like the way that it began too, you know, like just out of essentially like out of community. That's really fucking cool.
Right, right, right. And like, uh, damn, you had said something I wanted to add on to. Um, yes, you can change your circumstances through work ethic, mindset, and stuff. Some people are unfortunate enough to have the mindset or be conscious enough to think a certain way. So sometimes it takes somebody else to lend a hand and pull them up out of that. So, like you said, there's a community aspect to it as well. You know, just play your part, try to be kind to everybody. And, you know, if you're in a position where you can make somebody better, where you can make somebody smarter, reach over and help them because that will ultimately help your circumstances. You know, the more the merrier. So
Yeah, no, 100%. I feel like community is a big aspect that I feel like is lost nowadays too, you know? Like I
hell
feel
yeah.
like I was watching have you seen that movie In the Heights?
No, the new one,
Yeah, the one that just came
musical
out.
that just came out.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
So a big
How's
part
it?
it's a good movie. Especially like in light of all the criticism it's getting, which is rightly deserved. I 100% agree that they definitely whitewashed the movie and Washington Heights. Like even though I did the musical in high school and it's like how I met my girlfriend, I can
Oh
100%
wow.
agree that like the way that they portrayed Washington Heights is nothing like Washington Heights actually is, and it deserves all the criticism it receives, regardless of whether or not it's like a good, genuine like story, like piece of fiction.
Right.
But one of the themes of the movie is just community and making sure and well, yes, making sure community exists, but also how community truly meant like be it a block or a neighborhood of people coming together and helping each other out with each other's problems, you know, like making sure that none of us were alone. And it talks about how like gentrification has really kind of put a huge stamp on that because
Mm,
now it's like it's real estate developers coming in, people coming in from bumfuck Ohio, like
yeah.
it just coming
Yeah.
out of nowhere and like taking over the neighborhood. and just like
Right.
displacing a lot of the people who have been there forever and removing that sense of community. And I feel like that's definitely something that's lost nowadays, but I really appreciate that what you're doing is like helping bring that back as well.
Appreciate that. Nah, I do feel like um there's a missing aspect to community now. Like people don't care about it. Maybe with the rise of the internet, it just separates us, because now you can put your own thoughts out there that really don't mean shit, and
Mhm.
you really don't know anything, but you can convince somebody that you know something. So it's like nobody's trying to learn from anybody. A lot of people are extreme, and I try not to generalize, but
Mhm.
um, a lot of people are extreme on their beliefs. Like, the easiest thing for Americans to look at and say, oh, this is extreme is like when it comes to terrorism or something like that, or extreme in your ideologies. But a
Yeah.
lot of us are very extreme in our ideologies. Like we don't want to move off of our square. And I feel like because we have a voice through social media, that separates the aspect of being able to learn from each other. While people think social media brings us together as a community, I feel like it keeps us in a simulation of, just not learning. And somebody said something that was important. There's a high level of ignorance that's going on right now where people feel like my ignorance is equal to your intelligence. And, you know,
Good.
this
That's
is
really
this
good.
is democracy. This is capitalism. We could go down
Mhm.
a whole a wormhole of this, but it's capitalism,
Yeah.
uh free thought, free speech, all of that. So now people are taking advantage of these amendments, putting them to use, and like we're seeing where there's some loopholes in what it was intended for. I know we just went on a freaking tangent, but yeah.
Oh no, bro, that's completely fine with me. I love tangents. I love discussion, especially when it comes to like theoretical stuff and concepts of stuff like democracy, capitalism, even like when we talk about like political ideologies and how it affects or just like the effects of said ideologies in today's world. Because I mean, like, no, you're 100% right. The being able to take the definition of the First Amendment, or maybe rather like the original intent of it, to then try to excuse something like hate speech, not
Yeah.
itchy, not at all.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
like, it's not at all what
It
it's
doesn't
about.
even make any sense. Like, but with language is so strong and so powerful. It's the To be honest, is the most lethal weapon.
Hmm.
Because once you say something that somebody can gravitate to or understand, you don't know how strong they're gonna gravitate to that belief. And when people just feel so strong in that belief to the point where it's like, I know more than you or I can't learn from you, that's where it becomes dangerous. So yes, there is a missing aspect to community.
Yeah, yeah. To bring it back around,
Sum it up.
yes. To sum it up, there is a missing aspect of community. Yeah, no, I want to touch on one more thing you said in there because I just got to get it off my mind.
Yeah.
How you're talking about ideas and how dangerous they are. It reminds me of a quote from. You ever seen V for Vendetta? You ever heard about it?
Yes, I know the movie. I haven't seen it.
So it's just like it takes place in a fascist in the future where like I think like the Nazis won World War II, and like now Europe and Britain especially where it takes place are in like a fascist society. And
Hmm.
there's this revolutionary who goes by the name V. He wears like a Guy Fawkes mask, which is like the anonymous mask. If you ever seen those, like that's the same thing those guys wear.
Yeah, yeah, yep, yep.
That's what he wears. And he has this tangent he goes on at the end of the movie when he's like fighting the police force who's trying to stop him from doing this big thing. He's like, "You may have shot me, but you can't kill an idea. Ideas are bulletproof." And like just that idea, let me not say that idea, but just the notion or the concept that ideas are dangerous and bulletproof is like such a true thing. Like all it takes is
Yeah,
one person to say something and then another person to hear it until the next person and so on and so forth. And that's how radical change, but also like radical destruction can be brought about. So it's really like such a
yep,
fine line that you got to walk.
yep. Wow, I might have to watch that. No, I'm gonna have to watch it because I majored in history, so
Oh, that's dope.
I love that type of stuff.
Yeah, I was majoring in history too, but I dropped out of college. So that didn't
Hey man,
happen. But listen, no, I love history. Like nonetheless, it's always been like a really big subject of mine. Like I went to college to major in not just like American history, but like predominantly in Puerto Rican Latino studies history,
Mm,
because I was just like tired of learning about like dead old white men for the most part.
yeah,
That's what a
yeah,
lot of US history was, you know, like learning about them, how they took over the country, conquered it from people who were already here,
yeah,
subjugated them to terrible institutions of racism and genocide, essentially. And it
yeah,
really it changed the way that I looked at history because I'd always like looked for that. I never really had like that culture, or I never had an understanding of my cultural identity growing up. I was
mm,
always
mm.
just, I was that Puerto Rican kid on the block, the only Puerto Rican kid on the block. I didn't speak Spanish, and I still kind of don't. um, and I used to get made fun of for it in these circles with a lot of other Latin kids who could speak Spanish, and I would just feel insecure, like they'd call me the white Puerto Rican and stuff like that. And I never understood why these things happened. They just did, and I just accepted it, you know? But going to college, getting the freedom to choose, like to a degree, what you want to learn about and the classes in which you
Yeah,
take, it opened my mind entirely. I started to understand like why my parents didn't teach me Spanish as much as it served as a detriment to me. Because man, if I could speak two languages, I feel like I would be so better off. I feel like it's something that I can put on my resume and would have helped me out,
yeah,
like land
yeah,
so many fucking jobs. But also just like the importance of language when it comes to something like community, you know, like
yep,
just being
yep.
able to speak to
Mm.
somebody else and get to understand them. That's such like a really powerful thing. But
Wow.
I understand why a lot of generations of like Latin Americans and Puerto Rican Americans just didn't do that. But yeah, no, history, super important thing. And I agree that if we don't learn from it, we're doomed to repeat it.
Right. I mean, and I feel you on how history was taught because when I got to college and I studied history, it was like they were literally teaching us the opposite of what we learned in high school and grade school. Like rather than remembering a date, they were teaching you how to think for yourself. That's why I'm
Mm-hmm.
so appreciative of like majoring in that subject. I may not like the financial aspect to it. Like it's hard to find a job um doing history.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not really, but it's something that you love.
Yeah.
Um, but it really taught me how to do research, develop an idea for myself, and be able to discuss it, be able to be open to other ideas and, weigh everything. Don't leave anything off the table just because that's your idea. Because if that's what you're doing, then you're not doing it right. There's a certain level of integrity, the same way that there should be a certain level of integrity in journalism, media, that's just it's missing now because once again the ease of access. You have people who can call themselves a, a vlogger or a blogger or and say that they're journalists, but they never studied the ethics aspect to journalism,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't even do it right. They don't tell people like, hey, this is going on record. Like you have all these leaks and like that's not the way that things are supposed to be done. It's not the way so yeah, we could go on for days about it.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like being on the internet and the accessibility of it has given everybody a platform, regardless of whether or not they deserve it. You know, like I'll flip it back to more recent times for the people who maybe don't want us to go on the history tangent. Not that I really give a fuck. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's my show, so I mean, like, also we'll say what we want. But
Talk your shit, man.
Mayweather versus Paul. The fact that Logan Paul is fighting arguably the best boxer of all time, especially in recent years, like what the fuck is that? You know, like that's not something that would normally happen if I'm sorry, it just like
If ethics were
if
involved.
ethics were involved, if just like it doesn't take like somebody who's knowledgeable about boxing or anything for that matter to see that this is clearly a money move. And like I get it, you know,
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather loves the money, Logan Paul loves the money, and I'm sure when you get to like a certain status,
Yeah.
when you get told that you're going to make $50 million, I don't know if that was a number, but I'm just throwing that out there,
Hmm.
to fight some fucking YouTuber who has had one other boxing match and lost just because he's like bigger than you and
Yeah.
like it would be an interesting fight. Like there's no integrity there, you know, like it kind of takes away from the fact that he was as good a boxer as he is because this random fucking dude on the internet who used to live in some part of the country got cool off Vine, you know?
You can't put it past certain people though. Like some of these actresses and artists end up doing Dancing with the Stars, and it's like, really? They end up doing reality TV. It's like, really? You know, um, why do we call Mayweather arguably the greatest boxer? Because he's 50 and 0. Did he
Mm-hmm.
fight the same level of competition? To be honest, I feel like the greatest boxer um would be somebody who took a lot of hits and threw out a lot of hits. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not taking anything away from Mayweather. I'm just saying like the idea that we have of Mayweather may be clouded,
Okay.
right? When this is what he's been doing. Everything throughout his career has been a money grab. He's put on some great performances, but
Mm-hmm.
it's been a money grab. And if I can get paid 100 and something million
Mm-hmm.
to step in the ring and act like I'm boxing when I am one of the greatest boxers, why would I not just increase my pocket another 150 million, no matter how anybody look at it? It would be stupid to be like, you know what, I'm gonna walk away from the money just for the integrity of boxing. People don't even care about the integrity of boxing. And
Yeah.
me not taking the money, that's not gonna make people care more,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I I think it comes down to how you look at it
Yeah.
and how much stock you put into these celebrities. You know, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times we have very, very high beliefs in certain people. Kanye, for example, that's my favorite rapper
Mm-hmm.
ever. Favorite artist. And there's a lot of things that he's done over the last 4 years that people won't agree with.
Yeah.
But there's this high pedestal that we put these artists on, and people forget that they are human too. Like these are people who are having the same human experiences as you. They may be artistic, they may have a little more money, but if we look at everybody as if they're the same as us, I think that moves us a little bit closer to getting back to community and just making much more sense of the world.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. Because like that's the thing about celebrities. Them and their fame, it just makes them seem like they're so much larger than life, you know, so inaccessible to somebody
Yeah.
because you see them in these movies, you see them on TV, surrounded by all this glitz and glam. There's that disassociation of the fact that they're flesh and blood, just like you and I. You know, they're regular people too. They probably don't like
Right.
waking up early. They probably eat junk food. They probably have the same cereal you and I do.
Yeah.
And like we have this tendency, or maybe not like we, you and I, but we like people in the general sense have the
Hmm.
tendency to, like you're saying, just put them on the pedestal, and that just it removes so many characterizations of them as a person.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk about Kanye though, because I'm with you on that. Like, I'm a very big Kanye fan, and there are a lot of things that people do not agree with that he may have done, but I kind of like, to a degree, I don't really give a fuck because I like Kanye's music. There was a time where I was like feeling it was from the Life of Pablo era, um,
Hmm.
where I was just like feeling very down and out. I needed like a little like a confidence boost, and I feel like Kanye's music was like doing that for me, was giving me that confidence boost, like vicariously like living through him, or just like listening to the things he was saying and how like he felt that he was the shit, and like nothing he could do was really like could be any wrong. Like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, one of the greatest pieces of music of all fucking time, man. Like I put on Devil in a New Dress the other
Absolutely.
day,
Oh my
and
gosh.
the fact that that song is 11 years old. I don't know when he made it. Um, but we'll just say like when it came out. So the fact that that song is
Yeah.
like 11 years old and still
Hmm.
holds up to this day, like many other pieces of music, but still hits as hard, like it just came out the other day, is it it stands in truth to just how much of a musical genius I think Kanye West really is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think his ability to not care about what people think about him is maybe his biggest strength, and what people may perceive as his biggest weakness as
Mm-hmm.
well. I can't tell you what makes that man weak. Um, but yeah, Kanye's been a huge inspiration to me. Like just seeing somebody who don't aspire to be a street person, making some of the hardest records, working with some of the hardest um, rappers, just literally doing everything that they told him that he couldn't do. And you saw his struggle, you saw his fight,
Mm-hmm.
so um, yeah, I can go on for days about Kanye. That's my guy. I'm always gonna stand by him.
Mm-hmm.
You drop an album, I'm gonna find a way to like it. I'm gonna find a way to like it. I'm going to find something in a Kanye album now. Like, people didn't like the Jesus album that he did. I
Mm-hmm.
love the music on there. It
Yeah.
it sounds pleasant to me.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, it was just very in your face and brash and just like, you if you were angry, you could put that on and that get emotion out for you, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So
Yeah.
nah.
I actually, in one of my chapters, I wrote about Bound 2 and how I think I think Bound 2 is one of the greatest love songs ever.
Really?
Yeah, bro. I mean, like, sometimes I'm not always serious when I say it, but other times I'm just listening to it. I'm just
There's
like,
some truth to
fuck.
it. There's some
No,
truth to
yeah,
it.
dead
Yeah.
ass. Like,
You gotta explain that. You gotta explain that.
all right. So I was listening to, you ever like listen to those Spotify podcasts, like Dissected, where this guy Kuchna, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, but he basically just takes like hip hop records that are like highly revered, like Watch the Throne. I don't know if he did Graduation or not, but I know he did My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I know he did Damn by Kendrick Lamar.
Mm,
Uh, he's done a few others too, and I'm kind of blanking because I think there's only like five. Oh, he did Flower Boy as well by Tyler
okay.
Creator. He went through and like dissected the whole thing song by song in each episode too. Um, and he's talking about how like Yeezus conceptually as an album is about this character who is like innately flawed, realizes that he's flawed, and wants to like change himself, but eventually like he kind of like relapses into his old ways. But
Ooh.
when he finds love, he realizes that yes, he is flawed, but so is his love. And then being flawed is essentially what makes him human. And like recognizing that we are ourselves are fragile people. That's just it's just what life is, realizing what life is makes it that much easier to go about. And I feel like Bound 2, like in that line where he's like, maybe we could still make it to the church steps, but first you're gonna remember how to forget after these long ass verses. I'm tired, you tired, Jesus wept. Like when he says shit like that, on the surface, it's just like, damn, those are some bars. But it's like you and me, like you and this person that you love, you may like go through these arguments, you may disagree all the time, but at the end of the day, when you look at each other and you feel that way about that person, that stuff isn't going to change that quickly. And realizing
Yeah.
that you two may not always be this perfect ideation that you have of each other, but you still appreciate the person for who they are. I think that that's something that really like speaks to a lot of people. And
Wow.
yeah, when you break it down like that, it's like, damn. But when it's just surface level, like where you got the Bound like sample chop up, which by itself I think is a really good song too. And then you put Charlie Wilson on it, bro.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it really is just like it's a great fucking song. But I also feel like Blame Game is another song that's just like
Oh yes. Absolutely.
that one probably goes a
Absolutely.
little more in depth than Bound 2 does because it's like
Hmm.
7.5 minutes, 3.5 minutes.
The entire story after the song, like what he was going through at the time as well. So no, definitely. Blame Game is definitely one of my favorite songs. Dark Fantasy, my favorite Kanye album
Mhm.
ever. Front to back. That intro, Power. Can't Tell Me Nothing is my favorite Kanye song. Um,
Yeah, that's a good one.
but wow, that's crazy how you just dissected that and just made me look at the song and that album, the Yeezus album, in a different light. I'm definitely gonna listen to that this week.
Yeah, I mean, like, it wasn't all me. I didn't make like, I made part of that like
Nah, but
myself.
you introduced it to me. You
Yeah,
introduced it to
like
me.
it definitely like opened my eyes in terms of like how I listen to all music recently because like even before I did podcasts and all that, I always liked listening to artists like dissect their music on shit like Verified,
Hmm.
because like yeah, sometimes the lyrics can seem a little nonsensical, but I like listening to people break down their stuff because then oh shit, excuse me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then it starts to make a whole lot more sense, and I like that.
Yeah.
It's like uncovering the iceberg, like there's way
I feel
more
like
beneath
every
it.
single, yeah, I feel like every single artist should do that. Every single artist should break down their music,
Hmm.
um, because you may not know who it's not connecting with. Not that you should care about that, but I'm the type of person where I want people to understand what I'm saying. I like to leave it open for, speculation, but I like people to understand what I meant, especially if I have a nice setup, a nice punchline, a nice bar. I gotta break that down. If
Yeah,
I'm with you and I'm cooking up and I'm rapping, I'm like, yo, you don't tell me you ain't get that. Don't tell me your reaction wasn't the way that I needed it to be,
yeah.
And it's not because it's trash, it's because like I'm thinking over here. Then when you break it down, it's like, yo, that's fire. So no, I'm with you with the verified genius activity. I definitely think that all artists should break their music down.
Yeah, no, and like I especially like doing that with people too. Like, well, okay, hold up. Hello? Okay. Sorry. I just like I don't know what it was. I think I just heard more echo than I probably like really had. How's it sounding on your end?
Mhm.
Is there like any echo?
Sounds fine.
Okay. All right, good. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just took a second. Fuck, where was I? Yeah, I think yeah, so even like my first podcast was something just like that. I sat down with my cousin and we just broke down this mixtape he put out, which was like a summation of what 2020 really just felt like
Mm.
with everything going on with the Black Lives Matter movement, and then all this the the mass exposure of all this police brutality going on, and then on top of that, there was the heated political climate with like Trump and Biden going back and forth and right versus left, and like it we spoke about all of that. But that's something I've always enjoyed doing too, just talking with artists, breaking down their stuff, what it means, because like you're saying, I really feel like it helps you understand the song when you
Yeah.
understand what people are talking about on it, like regardless of whether or not it's
Yeah.
like so direct in the song or maybe not as direct. I just think it's like a really cool facet of music.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay. So, okay, we kind of talked about your influences already in Kanye. But do you have like outside of Kanye being like your like favorite rapper and producing a lot of your favorite music, would you say that you have any other artists that have made like maybe not as big an impact on you, but have definitely influenced like some of the things you do in music? Like, oh, this
Yeah.
person, I see how they layer their drums. Maybe I'll do something akin to that, but maybe I'll put this over here and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I have a ton. I would say the industry in general, the entire like
Okay.
I love the industry. I love being the consumer of the industry of role, especially with artists who care about it, who provides timeless music.
Mhm.
So Chris Brown, I love his work ethic. I love the fact that um he's a he's an amazing dancer. Um and he just puts a lot into his presentation of his music, whether it's 35 songs or not. Um, Usher had some classic songs,
Mhm.
some classic albums like Confessions is one of those important albums for me that had me loving music. Like
Mhm.
it's a lot of R&B because it was what my sisters was listening to. So I would steal their CDs and put it in a CD player like when iPods were getting popping. Didn't have money for an iPod. So like I would just take my sister's old CDs and just put those in. So Usher, Jay-Z, love the way Hove constructs albums.
Mhm.
Um, I love the fact that he's one of those artists who has a lot of hidden gems in his music as well. Like you can listen to a Jay-Z song, and a lot of people are catching on to this. You can listen to a Jay-Z song 5 years ago and just catch something, just catch a line that he said, whether it's because your perspective grew, whether it's because the knowledge that you're receiving now, but you're always going to find something. Drake, phenomenal. Like just the quality of music that he puts out. The quality of music is second to none. Even if what he's saying is not the greatest, even though
Mhm.
to a certain extent it is the greatest because it's very relatable. But even if he's saying something that's not the greatest, the sound quality of Drake's music is something that I look at to that's what I aspire to attain. when I'm making music. I don't have the money that Drake has, so of course the technology that's going into my music isn't going to be the same, but I try
Mhm.
to make it sound as perfect as possible. Big Sean, his rap patterns, his rap styles, the way that he can go in and out of speed rapping. Um, I love this. You said something to me a couple days ago about being able to speed it up. That's something that I came in knowing that I wanted to do,
Mhm.
not consistently, but I wanted to be able to know how to do that, like Busta Rhymes, like Big Sean, like Eminem, because it's something that everybody can't do. And if I'm able to do that the way that it's supposed to be done, speed rapping in a pocket without taking any breaths, if I'm able to do that, you can't deny that I can do something that somebody else cannot do.
Mhm.
Anybody can rhyme cat in a hat and bat and fat, but how can you break it up to make it fit on this tempo? You know, there's 4 bars per measure or something like that. Whatever, like this,
Yeah.
4 beats per measure, 4 beats per measure. One, two, three, four. How can you speed a full sentence up and condense that to still make it land on beat and make your voice be the instrument? So definitely Big Sean, Eminem, Alicia Keys with her melodies. I can literally list you so many people. Michael Jackson with his performance. Because
Mm.
back in the days, I used to dance. Like I really
Oh,
used to take
word.
dancing serious.
Oh
Yeah.
shit,
So
nice.
like a lot of the people that I gravitated to were dancers at first because of the performance aspect. So it's not just rapping, it's everything that comes with it. The business moves that you make, how you present yourself, how much you inspire people in interviews, and definitely your performance. Everybody that I named, great performers, great performers. Nobody's lacking as a performer out of those people that I named.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the short answer.
Jeez, that was a short answer. I can't wait for the long one. Holy shit. Yo, I think that's probably the most thorough, in-depth answer I've ever gotten on that because not only did you name several artists, you named why. Most people, it's just like I like this person, and then I like this person, and then maybe this song was influential to me. But you just you named Chris Brown, Drake, Usher, Jay Z, Big Sean, Alicia Keys, MJ, and then you also told me why you like all of them as
Yeah,
well. So
yeah.
damn, that was a good fucking answer.
I mean, like, I want to add something. Like, um,
Yeah, go ahead.
the award shows, like I said, the performances they mean a lot to me because like when I got inspired to do anything surrounding music, the award shows is what I was seeing. The first award show I remember like gravitating to was the 2004 um, BT Awards, and that's when
Mhm.
Usher he was on his Confessions run, and he had the biggest hits in the world. G Unit was also on that show, and then seeing Chris Brown performing at the MTV Awards, going down the YouTube wormhole and looking at
Mhm.
Michael Jackson MTV Awards. So like my girl, she's like heavily into Funko Pops now, and
Nice.
I just got my first Funko Pop when I went to Cali, and it's a MTV Movement.
Oh
So
shit, that's crazy.
like
I didn't even know they made those.
yeah, everything ties into each other one way or another.
Yeah, yeah, that was really fucking dope. Yeah, holy shit, I don't even know where to start. Um, yeah, I think the first memory I have of the VMAs, since we're on that topic, but I'll circle
Hmm.
back. Is honestly the what I can remember the most is Kanye interrupting Taylor because like I was only nine, I was only 9 years old, and I remember it being in
You're only
Brooklyn.
9?
Yeah, bro. I'm
Wow.
born. I'm born in '99. Like, don't mind me just like putting my shit out there.
Wow.
Yeah, no, bro. I'm mad young. I mean,
God
by
damn.
some people's standards, but yeah, no. Like, I remember just like watching that shit live for the first time, and I was really interested because like it was in New York. So I was like, oh my god, they're in my city. I gotta watch it. And I couldn't stay up late all night because I was still nine and I had a bedtime,
Yeah.
but I recorded it. And the last thing I remember seeing before going to bed was Kanye interrupting Taylor and telling everyone that Beyonce had the greatest video of all time.
Yeah.
And that shit had such an impact on me because I didn't really know who Kanye was at the time. A lot of my music I was getting through my dad. Like when I was younger, he would blast like DMX and shit while we were playing checkers. So I knew a lot of like the old like gangster rap shit. Like I knew Wu Tang
Time out,
too.
time out, time out, time. DMX while you're playing checkers.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right,
My
continue.
dad he had a stereo system that he hooked up to our wall unit, and it was fuck. I don't remember the name of the album, but the disc it was from 1999, and the disc was just a black no, it was a white X on a black background in white font. But it was like one. I think it was the one right after Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, or some shit like
Mhm,
that.
mhm.
And it was the same one that had X Go and Give It to You. I think Rough
All the
Riders.
movie
And
hits.
yes, all the movie hits were on that CD. So I grew up listening to a lot of that. I grew up listening to a lot of freestyle, even though I didn't always like resonate with it until like very, very recently.
Yeah.
What else did he play? He played a lot of Wu Tang, a lot of Rappers Delight. Because my dad grew up in that era. Like he grew up in the
Mhm.
'80s as a b boy, battling dudes like. Are you familiar with like the b boy era of hip hop or anything like that?
Mhm.
So you know who
Mhm.
Crazy Legs is?
No, I don't. I'm
Okay,
not that familiar with him.
no doubt, no doubt. He was like Crazy Legs is part of the Rocksteady crew, which is like
Okay.
one of the first big b-boy crews to like make it big and like make breakdancing a global thing. And he used to tell me about how like Crazy Legs served him up real bad in a fight. Well, not a fight, but like a dance battle. He had
Right, right,
this
right.
he had this move, which is why they called him Crazy Legs, where he'd be spinning around on his back, and then when he got up, he'd be like, that thing in yoga they call like the bridge, where you're like back on your hands. Yeah, he was
Mhm.
doing that, but his shoes were off. Like he took it off in the middle of doing all of that, and he put them on his hands, and he was up like that. Yeah, bro,
Wow.
it's some of the craziest shit ever. And yeah, no, he just exposed me to a lot of that, and I didn't really get like a true appreciation for common, modern hip hop
Mhm.
up until like right after that, because when that happened with the whole Kanye thing, I'm like, oh, who the fuck is this guy? And then I started hearing some of his songs on the radio. And then my dad found an old iPod. Well, not an old iPod, but an iPod Touch on the floor of a park somewhere. And it was some random dudes who like lost it, but he had like 800 songs on there. And one of those was Graduation. And like
Mm.
Graduation is like the first hip hop album that I actually listened to by myself, like front to back. So I have like
Wow.
very fond memories of that album specifically.
Mm.
Um, fuck, where was I? But yeah, no,
That's
it's like,
you're talking about your intro to Kanye and the award show. Wow.
yeah,
I was already a huge Kanye fan by that point. Like
mhm,
I was mad that he wasn't performing on that award show. The year right before that is when he came with 808s and Heartbreak.
yeah,
And I couldn't understand the album for the first 2 years. It was like, what is this? I love Love Lockdown. My mother loved it as well because it
great song.
reminded her, yeah, it reminds her of when I would play the drums. So she's
Hmm.
like, I just love when it has that drum solo. Um, but yeah, I was deep into my Kanye fandom at that point.
Yeah, no, like that was really what started it for me. And then like I remember the rollout like to a degree. I wasn't like as in tune because I wasn't really on the internet like that. I wasn't on like Kanye to the. I wasn't like looking for a lot of his music on the internet. I do remember when Power first came out. I was hooked on that song for a minute, but then I kind of just like didn't know how when he was releasing new music or any shit like that. So I kind of fell off for a bit, still listening to the stuff on my iPod, and whenever like Kanye songs would come up on the radio,
Yeah.
I um I used to record it with my DSi because
Wow.
it had like the little audio files you could record. So I'd end up recording like 30 seconds of a Kanye song at a time. And I try to catch it again when it was on the radio next time. So I'd end up having like the whole song on my DSi. But yeah, no, like, oh man, that's such like the nostalgia is crazy, but just like that was a wild time of music, man. To go back and
Wow.
actually like fully realize it as it is happening. Oh man, I'd give the
Yeah.
fucking world because that's like such a unique era of music and hip hop in general. Um,
That's amazing. I love hearing stories like that, man. Like I geek out over stories like that because I love to hear what people's experiences with music are. Like,
mhm.
how did you get introduced to something? Like, what's the craziest thing that you did during a music era growing up? And that DSI story is funny as hell. Like, I remember using a karaoke machine as our studio. we use this karaoke machine as our studio. So like,
Yeah, that's right. I remember you talking about that. And I think it was like
yeah,
the first episode for No Need to Debate, right? It was in one of
yes,
those. Yeah, you were talking about how it was your aunt had like a karaoke machine. You guys used to use that as a studio. Yeah.
yep, 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 yep. So that's funny, man. I appreciate that story.
Yeah, no, for real. That's like I get what you mean. I like the stuff like that too, because like especially it's cool to hear like people's reactions to a song for the first time. But when it's like a seminal piece of music, something that like really affects them as they grow older and stuff like that, stories like that like can't be beat because it's just so genuine. You can tell when it really, really affects someone like that. And stuff like
Right,
that is just
right.
is great.
Yeah.
But let me backtrack a little bit because I really like what you were talking about earlier when you were breaking down like how you can fit your rhymes into the four beats in a measure. I'd never heard somebody break down the technicalities of rapping like that. And I feel like that's great because that's always a way that I've like thought about it too. Because like I can play instruments and stuff like that, but I've never like really thought, well, I've never tried rapping or anything like that. Because like when I was younger, I tried like writing songs, but I didn't know like how to fucking write music. I just wrote lyrics down. And even then I had a hard time making things rhyme. So the fact that you were able to break it down like from the four beats per measure and then like trying to fit shit like triplets and stuff in that, like I really like I meant it when I said like when the words were flying out of your feature on Native XL song Adolescent, bro, that shit was crazy. And I like that you did it on a feature too, because like it increases the interest in you as a feature artist. Because like you start off nice and then like you pick it up and you go quick and then like you kind of like brought it back again. And I really feel like it shows off the versatility. So like kudos because that shit was really cool.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Like I said, like your voice is still an instrument. So the same way you play an instrument, you have to finish at the end of that measure in order to still be on beat. You can't go into the next measure still playing the note from the last note
Mhm.
from the last measure. So you have to end on beat in your words as well, so that it lands on beat. Some part of the instrument your voice has to match up with, whether it's the hi hat, and that's how you speed rap because hi hats are usually so you got to pick up on a hi hat. Sometimes you're following the piano.
Mhm.
It's probably playing a simple melody, and that's how you get your singing on. Sometimes you following the snare or the kick drum, but I think it helps that I've been into music damn near my whole life. So there's probably so many people who just, step in the booth and just start rapping and they don't even understand that aspect. They don't understand how, even though we're not singing, breath control is really important.
Mhm.
It's important to how that delivery is produced through the song. If you're breathing at the end of every word, it's going to sound horrible because it's going to sound like the word isn't even completing. It's going to sound like it's not a complete sentence. It's going to sound like you're punching in. But if you have breath control, like a singer does, um, then you know you'll have more success with rapping. Period. Nikki does it. Like Nikki, she raps very. It's kind of robotic.
Mhm.
Um, Attention, I'm gonna need you to face front. You don't want smoke with me. This is a lace blunt, but all of that is in one breath. And that's what I feel like is amazing because I can't do that for 4 bars straight without, you know, without breathing. So yeah,
Oh
it's pretty
wow,
interesting.
yeah. Yeah, holy shit. I didn't even recognize that until you brought it up. Like, yeah, no, now that you say that, I'm hearing it in my head and all of her different songs. Like I'm just trying to think like in Monster too. Like, first off, that's one of the greatest verses ever. Her feature verse on Monster that shit is iconic, bro. Like
Yeah,
I have no problem saying I yell that shit from the top of my head whenever it comes on. I'm sorry, with the top of
me
my
too.
lungs whenever it comes on because that shit it's a great track, a great verse, and I feel like something like that really helped. Like Nicki was already out and about, especially with the whole Young Money thing happening around then. But I mean, like that having having a great verse on the greatest Kanye album ever, that's just
Mm-hmm.
different. That's different. That's a whole
Yeah,
new level of stardom. But yeah, no, like I never realized that shit before. Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
Holy shit. Thank you. I like the technical aspect of stuff like this because like not everybody thinks about it like that. I'm sure there are people who are, but if they are, then they're not voicing it.
Right.
And like I like breaking things down like as much as possible sometimes because I'm just a very technical person. I like to know the ins and outs of things,
Hmm.
especially if it's something interesting. So yeah, no, that's really cool. Thank you.
Nah, no
Um,
doubt.
Let me ask you because you were talking about how you have a lot of R&B influences, like Usher. I know Chris Brown. He when like he does R&B as well, and Alicia Keys. So like, do you ever see yourself like I don't know, maybe not in the realm of like singing or doing R&B yourself, but like, what about like producing R&B like songs for other artists, maybe if not yourself?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, like when I started producing,
Hmm.
once again, I told you a lot of my musical influences are R&B, but
Hmm.
I had never been a great singer.
Okay.
Um, so like the beats that I make, they're feel good beats, even though they may have a hip hop element to it. I try to make it as hip hop as possible, but I
Hmm.
always find the melody first. I always find the melody first. So it's kind of hard for me to make a beat that'll screw your face up because I just always gravitate to the melody first. But yeah, I would love to produce a R&B album for someone. I just sent my first beat out. Like I have over 100 beats in a folder.
Nice.
But I just sent my first beat out and it was to an R&B soul singer. Hopefully he
Nice.
does something to it. Um, but yeah, definitely. Definitely. And like I said, I love the feel good aspect to music.
Hmm.
Even on hip hop songs, that's probably why I gravitate to Kanye a lot because of the samples. It
Hmm.
feels good, like the soul, I can't always explain it to my producer when he sends me beats and it's like super trappy. I'm like, yo, I like that feel good thing. If I listen to it, I feel like I'm at peace. Like I could close my eyes and it does something for my soul. So definitely.
Yeah, a lot of times too, like when Kanye like we used to do the soul samples, especially like I feel like the ways he would chop it up and the chords that he would like put along with the sample. I mean, like like for people like you and I who like have the musical know-how, like understand like the science, well, not the science, but just like how chords like can make people feel because of how they sound. I
Yep.
feel like just that having that kind of knowledge is definitely like a step up because you could be going you like you're saying you want to make that feel good song like be at peace. You can't do that with like with a minor chord that's making you feel like real sad and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean like depending on the minor chord, but yeah, no, like that kind of stuff is really important. And fuck, I forgot where I was going with that. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I hate when that shit happens. I lost my tangent on that shit.
No, that's all good. Me and my mom, we were watching the verses last night. Like I just got her into um to the verses, so now we try to catch every single one.
Mhm.
And we circle back to the Earth, Wind, and Fire versus Isley Brothers versus, which I feel like
Oh
was the
shit, I
best
forgot about
verse.
that.
Yeah, that I feel like that was the best verses. That was Easter Sunday. So I didn't because I threw it on pretty late and it was a 3 hour verses. So I didn't think that she was gonna stay in tune
Mhm.
and like she literally locked in with me and some of the songs she's like god damn they did this but she knows all of them word for word but she's literally giving me like the way that I would talk on a podcast she's giving me feedback on the music and I just appreciated that moment so much because she's like you hear that you hear that that's good shit like that's she was judging the battles too. She's like, yo, they got some good songs, but I'm not gonna say who she was going for, but
Mhm.
she's like, yo, they got some good songs, but do you hear what he just played, what they just played after that? I'm like, it was cool to see her like geek out over music and, you know, receive that feeling that great music provides for you. And I'll
Yeah.
make one more point. Like I love to debate music and hip hop and stuff like that. And say like who's the greatest or why this person is the greatest. But watching that versus and watching it again,
Mhm.
um, it kind of made me pull back from saying who's the greatest artist because these dudes were great. They made some of the best music ever, and they're responsible for more of the best music that we've heard in hip hop. Like
Mhm.
every single song their from their playlist that they played was sampled I think at least like 3 times.
Holy
Every
shit.
single and I'm talking about big songs, huge songs like uh Ron Isley is playing the original to "I Like It When You Call Me Big Papa." Like
Yeah,
he's
Between
playing
the
the
Sheets.
original. He's playing. You see, you know. So
Hmm.
like that's just that's that shit. I love feel good
Yeah,
music.
100%. I love that. Like that's what I think. I feel like that's what I love about hip hop the most is that there's a unique appreciation in hip hop when it comes to like songs from music past, you know? Like, yeah, rock songs are good. I enjoy the instrumentals, especially like when it comes from like a multi-piece band and stuff. But you're not gonna have in a rock song something like a soul flip, you know,
Yeah.
something that is like
Yep.
it borrows from an older piece of music and then
Hmm.
turns it into a completely new piece of music, be it like just a small interpolation or a straight up sample. Like I feel
Right.
like that's unique to just hip hop, and I feel like that's what makes it one of the more yeah, no, I'm comfortable saying it. One of the more creative expressions of music that there is. Because I
Right.
mean, like, yeah, what you can do in hip hop today, especially with like just having a computer in like Ableton or FL Studio, it really does open the world so much, especially to people who might not have like the musical know-how to write sheet music for like 10 different instruments or some shit like that, you know?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, it's revolutionized the way we listen to music in general. But yeah, no, hip hop, I don't know. I think that hip hop, especially, is probably going to have a staying power for a very long time. Like
Yeah.
I can't think of what other genre. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, so I mean, maybe I'm just putting my foot in my mouth. But I can't think of another genre like in recent times, or even like coming up that could probably like outdo hip hop because it really is the number one genre right now. Like
It is.
you even got pop stars doing a little rap in their songs from time to time.
Right. Adding like deep 808s and just like, the hi-hat pattern. Hip
Mm-hmm.
hop is influencing everything right now. Um, it's bittersweet
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, I guess for a while people fought for that recognition for hip hop. And now that it's widely received, once again, it's easily accessible. So
Mm-hmm.
anybody can try it, and not have an appreciation for it. But I do have an appreciation for it. Like me and Nay, we're super, super close, super close. And um,
Sorry, my cats are
like,
just like going off, but I'm sorry. Go
nah,
ahead.
that's
You're,
okay.
you're saying you and I are super close.
Yeah, we're super close. That's the person I have the song with, Adolescent. And I was telling her because like she didn't grow up loving hip hop the way that I do or studying it. I would say that
Mhm.
she didn't grow up studying it. So, um, like I would talk to her and I'm like, yo, you're nice. Like you have the ability to be um one of the greatest artists I feel like I've ever heard. Like you're really relatable. And Adolescent, just a teaser. She has a bunch of heat.
Oh, I can't wait to
And
hear
I'm
it.
like, I'm like, yo, just become a student of the game a little bit. Just become a little bit more of a student of the game because your talent mixed with you being a student of the game, you would know so much more and you'll have more confidence with maneuvering through this game. So yeah, hip hop has done so much for me without me even being a hip hop artist. So
That's good. Yeah, no, I relate to that because like me, like I'll take it to the form of writing because like that's my craft. That's what I know. Like I feel like it's hard to go ahead and write if you haven't read a book, you know? Like, well, maybe not read a book because everybody reads books from time to time, but I mean, like,
yeah.
it's hard for you to write if you don't read good books, you
Hmm.
know? Just like I'm sure it's hard for somebody to listen to hip hop. When I'm sure it's hard for somebody to make a hip hop song if they've never listened to one before.
Right.
You know,
Right.
just heard like some generic shit that'll appropriate it on the radio. Like if you heard an Ariana song using trap drums and you try to make a hip hop song off of that, like it's
Right.
not gonna have the same feel. But like I feel like me in reading all these different books exposes me to different like styles of writing, different ways to construct a sentence, or even just like different ways to format a paragraph. It'll introduce me to all these different ideas that I can then take into my own writing and be like, okay, well, I remember seeing this in that book, so why don't I try to do something like this? Whereas, like, if you're listening to a different hip hop song, you'd be like, oh, okay, he put the horns in right there. What if I put my horns in like right here? Maybe like pitch it down a little bit, layer it up, stuff like that. But I feel like being a student of your craft is, I feel like that's something universal. Yeah,
Right.
I
There's
wish a lot of people subscribe to that methodology.
there's not a lot of people that would analyze music the way that you did. Like even in the example that you just gave, a lot of
Mhm.
people don't analyze music like that. So that's pretty cool.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, I wish more people did that though, to be completely honest, because I feel like that's part of the beauty of music,
Yeah.
being able to analyze it as such, and then just breaking it down. Because like I said, I can't like actually, I've never made music, but I've been in the studio with my friends, some of who are like producers and engineers, and seeing the way that they cut up a song and like, bro, that shit is crazy.
Yeah.
I could not do that off rip if I tried, but watching
Yeah.
watching other people do it, that shit gives me a kick because because like when you listen to these songs, you don't see all the different tracks like on the screen, you just hear it
Right.
in your head. But to see all the different like recordings and all the different instruments you're putting on it and how long these things are too,
Hmm.
and that shit is fucking crazy. It really is.
Yeah.
Like it astounds me, and I love how not easy, but like the word of the episode seems to be accessible. How accessible it is
Yeah.
to just make and create music nowadays.
Yeah, I love it too, but I don't love it at the same time. Like,
Mhm.
it makes it harder for me. I, like I said in Marathon, man, niggas don't like
Mhm.
facing challenges, but look how I balance it, you know.
Mm.
But I, the accessibility is not the issue to me. It's the
Mhm.
appreciation.
Mm. Okay.
That's what it is. It's the appreciation. Hey, make it accessible. We all could eat out here. It's enough for us to eat.
Mhm.
But, just appreciate what's feeding you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I feel like, excuse me, especially like knowing, I feel like knowing the history of the genre in which you're in is
Yeah.
so important,
Mhm.
because like you're saying, like people won't always have that appreciation. Like I'll use do you listen to Post Malone at all?
I do. I
Okay.
do.
I remember Post Malone, like I do too. I'll be straight up. I've listened to quite a few of his songs. Like that one song he has, Stay, great song, great fucking track. But I think that he's one of those people who I feel like doesn't have the same appreciation of hip hop,
Hmm.
especially considering like that's kind of how he blew up with White Iverson. That's not some fucking country folk song.
And that's my biggest gripe. That was my biggest gripe with Post Malone. I can't
Mhm.
deny that he makes great music. I'm gonna let you finish your point though.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like what magazine I don't remember it was, but there was an article where he was talking about music, and what he said was, I might be paraphrasing here, but he spoke about how if he wanted to make a song that would like tell a story or make someone feel a way, hip hop is not the genre that he would use. That's not the medium. Yeah, I had the same fucking reaction, and it's like being somebody who knows hip hop's past. Like you can't tell me that you can't tell a story if in hip hop, and then like to combat that, I'll just put on fucking children's story, for example. You know,
Right.
like that's that right there is a prime example of how you can tell a story in hip hop using hip hop, like the sound of the streets, the sound of the people. And like I hate when people essentially appropriate it and use it as a means to just get big because they don't have that appreciation, that respect for it,
Yeah.
Like to a lot of people, hip hop is something that can be, it's more so a means of expressing fun. And like to a degree, okay, yeah, sure. Go ahead. Like there's definitely some fun hip hop tracks that aren't as serious that I definitely enjoy. But if they're by
Hmm.
an artist who's just using it for that means as a means to like get people to listen to it, enjoy it, run it up, and like they have no real integrity or interest in the genre, that's when it's clipped for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. I wonder if he was talking about for himself.
Yeah, no,
Like
I think he was
it
talking
may
about for himself.
from okay.
Well, let me no, no, let me rephrase
Which
that. Let me let you finish your point.
so I wonder if he was talking about himself. If he was talking about himself, maybe he's speaking from a perspective where it's easier for him to tell a story when he's crooning and doing that, like when he's singing and stretching his voice. Maybe it's easier for him to convey a story like that. And in hip hop, it's harder for him to do traditional storytelling
Mm-hmm.
and evoking emotions by doing rap because maybe he's not a fan of like that era of rap.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like he appropriated hip hop with White Iverson because the moment that he had a chance to, go pop, it was beer bongs and Bentleys and like, you know, and dude was literally wearing cowboy boots, uh, lost the grill, and
Mm-hmm.
was drinking freaking Bud Light.
Yo,
You
like
know,
crazy.
when he came in, it was braids
Mm-hmm.
and him smoking blunts, looking like a hip hop artist. And now it's
Yep.
not like that. But what hip hop artist today is looking like a hip hop artist? You look at the Migos on a award show; they look like a rock funk group. So
Mm-hmm.
you know the lines are blurred. Post Malone makes great music, but I'm definitely with you. Like, you know, I'm on the fence, but I will always listen to his stuff because he puts out solid bodies of work. Like he does take his time with his music. But I also don't think that he'll be making hip hop in a couple years. I feel like it'll literally be a full length country album or whatever genre it is that he does. I don't think it'll be rapping.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with that. Like trying to think of the last rap song Post Malone did, the only one that comes to mind is Rockstar, like with 21 Savage. I can't think I can name another. Maybe there are. I'm not the most in tune with his discography.
Yeah.
Like I know some Lucy's here and there of his, but
Mhm.
I can't think of another like
I love
serious
Spoil
song.
My Night. I love Spoil My Night with Sway Lee. That song is like it's really fun. Really fun. The Sonics in it is great. They both
Mhm.
had great verses too.
Damn, I'm
Uh
blanking. I don't think I'm trying to like listen to it in my head,
yeah.
like you ever do that when you think of a
I'll
song and
send
like
it to
you
you.
okay, please do. Yeah. No, definitely. Because like I'm trying to think of it and I can't really hear it in my head. But maybe I've listened to it before. I don't know. But like I said, I'm not the most like in tune with everything from his discography. Like I know some Lucy's here and there.
I
Like
could see
congrat
Kanye using him like as a random feature on a song. Like when Kanye was taking music serious, I can see
Mhm.
him using him as a surprise feature or a surprise voice
Yeah, he
on
was
the
on
album.
Fade. He was on Fade.
That is true. That
Yeah,
is true.
I was at this place in New Jersey not too long ago. Um back where when things were opening up, and it was kind of like a bar slash club, and it was the first time I had ever heard Fade like played in that environment before,
Mm,
and honestly, like it was very gratifying because like I'd always wanted to be like at the club with that song playing, and the
yeah.
fact that it finally happened, bro, I was elated. That shit was
Yeah.
crazy.
It's like soon as it come on, your body just starts moving, and it's like, what? They playing this?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, dead ass. Um, oh man, yeah, no, wow, that was good. That was I like that. That was a nice little tangent we went off on. I hate when I do that when I lose focus sometimes.
No,
Um,
you've been solid.
thank you. I really enjoy like how we've just been finding just like other things to go off of too, because like it really helps because I had like a few conversational points written down to just like keep myself kind of like in track on the things I wanted to talk about.
Hmm.
But like in all of our tangents, we've honestly like ended up going through pretty much all of them
Right.
because like I don't know. We just like found the relations between things, even if it didn't seem like they were related. And I really enjoy that. I like when, uh, especially like over the Zoom format, because like things can be taken. Let me rephrase. I'm not taken, but like it's not the same. It's not the same as me and you sitting in a room together, like
Right.
feeding off of each other and stuff like that. But having the conversations like this, where we can like weave our way through and it all still makes sense, I feel like
Hmm.
is what makes up for that. Like,
Word.
like this feels really solid, and I fucking love it. So I appreciate you, man, for real.
No
This has
doubt,
been
man.
like one of the best episodes I had since I relaunched the shit, for real.
I
But I mean, like, let me ask you, what's your vision as an artist? Like 10 years down the line, you're looking at it. Like, what do you want to either have accomplished, or like, what do you want to like? What's your goal? Be it through like through Blurred Vision as like a multifaceted organization that'll have hands in a lot of stuff. You as like a chart topping rapper who's going around the world touring. Like,
yeah.
what is your vision for yourself?
I think first and foremost, I want to be the best version of myself. I want to be comfortable with
Nice.
myself. You know, not comfortable in life, but just like knowing who I am as a person and being comfortable with that, so that whatever comes after that, I'm good with it.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I always see myself performing. in front of people. You know, I dream about it. I dream about performing in front of live crowds. I when I'm making music, I'm in my room performing sometimes to get the rest of the words out. Um, but my vision for Blur Vision 10 years down the line, um, I would love for it to be widely known. I would love for more people to understand exactly what it is when you first hear it,
Mhm.
you know, because I know for a fact that people are still confused as to what it is. They just see it sporadically sometimes, but you know, I'm always going to promote it. But I would love for it to be widely received by people, and I would love to be, you know, having a bigger impact on people's lives. First and foremost, my families, like just
Mhm.
relocating them, being able to take care of them, and just being able to do more for my community. Um, just having real conversations with people, no matter the age group, and you know, just encouraging them to think for themselves. Um, uh, you know, of course, the money would be a plus.
Mhm.
It would be a huge plus, but you know, I just want to be. I want to be able to know myself. You know, right
Yeah.
now I'm on this journey where I'm figuring it out. Um, but really be in tune with myself where, you know, whatever decision I make, I'm satisfied with the fact that that's what I decided to do.
Nice. I like that. I like that. I like that your first your the first part of that answer and like what's paramount in that was that you want to be comfortable with yourself. And that's like that's admirable because I feel like a lot of people are so willing to just I wouldn't say like sell themselves out, but do things that definitely like they aren't necessarily comfortable with or that they would like typically do it in pursuit of the bag, you know,
Right.
like in the pursuit of money. And yeah, no, that's really admirable. So like thank you for giving me that answer because I feel like that's not something a lot of people would say.
Yeah.
So, and I know that like even I struggle with that sometimes, like myself being comfortable with the things that I'm doing artistically. If I'm writing something, and because like part of what I write is semi-autobiographical, so I'll double check like is this something that I'm comfortable sharing, even if it's like not 100% true. I always like to leave it open to interpretation, what people think is real and what isn't. So I'm always like, damn, am I ready to put that out? Am I ready to keep that out there? But I think that being comfortable with yourself is almost like a prerequisite
Yeah.
to just to putting yourself out there because you can't not like yourself or you can't not be comfortable with yourself and then expect others to like do the same, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I read The Alchemist this morning, or I started rereading it.
Hmm.
So it put me in a present mindset. If I didn't read that, who knows what my answer would have been? You know, it probably would have been something different. But yeah, just being present and just trying to be the best version of myself, for
That's
sure.
good. I got to read that book. You know, I think it's probably like the fourth or fifth time I've heard The Alchemist be like brought up in a conversation,
Yeah.
or like just something I'm watching or listening to. So, you know, let me write that shit down because I've
No,
heard
I
about
think
this.
you'll definitely enjoy that, especially off of the stories that you're telling me that you been releasing. And I'm gonna tune in. I didn't notice that that's what it was.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm definitely gonna tune in. But yeah, you would definitely enjoy The Alchemist.
Yeah, no, no doubt. I'm probably gonna, I don't know. Maybe I'll pick it up on Kindle or like I'll actually like go to the bookstore or some shit like that because I've been looking for some good books to read outside of like all the like I don't know. I don't know like what genre I would classify it as, but it hasn't been books that have been like fiction. It's been more so like nonfiction, conceptual books, or like I found myself reading a lot of books about finances recently,
Yeah.
and like I don't know, just things that like generally interest me that I want to know more about. So like a good piece of fiction, especially a thought provoking one, like The Alchemist, because like you're not the first person to tell me how this book has just like either changed their life or changed their mindset, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, I mean, success leaves clues. So I gotta pick it up.
Yeah. Yep.
um, one more thing I want to ask you before we start to wrap it up. with Marathon Man having come out and your feature on Adolescent having come out as well recently, like what else is in the pipeline? You know, like what else is coming on down the line? If you can share, like if you're not
Yeah,
comfortable
no.
sharing, let me know. That's perfectly fine. I'll cut it out.
No, I'm past that point. I used to like when I first started, I was
Mhm,
very secretive and people would tell me, um, yo, you gotta stop being so secretive. Like, nobody knows you. So they really don't care anyway if
mhm,
you're if you're holding a secret. They're probably not gonna care if you don't tell them right now.
mhm.
So just more singles. I
Okay.
have a couple singles that trying to um I'm trying to filter through
Okay.
which one I want to put out first. Um and more videos. I shifted the way that I release music. I'm a project-based artist. I
Mhm,
love making full-length projects, whether it's 7 songs, four. So I like to make a full body of work. Um, so I want to be able to release some singles and generate interest so that I can get back to releasing full-length projects. Because once again, like I've noticed that there's a lot of things, not a lot of things, but there's certain things people were telling me
mhm.
may have been a little bit further in their rap career, just a little bit further.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't taking their advice because it was like I see the way that I want to do things.
Mhm,
But as far as releasing projects, um, that's something that I had to realize you got to scale back on because you have to get people interested. You have to have people want the project before you spend all this money in the studio making all this music, buying beats, releasing this music, and then people only listen to the first 2 songs.
mhm.
So, um, yeah, definitely just releasing singles, being consistent with the single releases. My birthday is coming up July 13th,
Oh
so
shit! Look at that.
I'm releasing these hats. We have 3 colorways,
Okay.
navy, black, and jade that I'll be releasing. And I want to produce more. I definitely want to produce more. I want to get some placements, whether it's on some bigger artists or, artists that I just enjoy.
Mhm.
Um, gonna start the podcast back up, so I'm about to start having some guests on. So I definitely have to have you on,
Oh shit!
bring you into my world, and we just like talk hip hop and debate hip hop. I don't know.
I would love to. That'd be
Um,
fucking awesome.
and yeah, just continue to grow, and embark on this journey. It took a while for me to get back to this level of comfort.
Mhm,
I was at my most confident I was most confident when I first released music. When literally the first song that I released, which was a song called Smoke. The reception I got from that was amazing because it was a surprise. Nobody knew that I was releasing music. So my rollout
mhm,
for that was just a bunch of professional looking pictures. This is before it was around the time music was accessible, but
mhm.
before it got this accessible.
Okay.
So some professional pictures, and then I just dropped a snippet to the video, and people were surprised because they were like, "Wait, you're rapping?"
Mhm.
Yeah. So I released that. I did a couple performances, performed in Miami, my first performance.
Oh
So
shit! Nice.
everything looked like it was on the rise. And
Mhm,
then in the midst of that, things got lost. Like
mhm,
um, my second single that didn't have a visual, it wasn't widely received. And then I also started experimenting with what I thought, people would want from me because
mhm,
so many people were tuning in and saying that they liked it. So I would look at people pages and, see what they're listening to, and I would gauge what I would subconsciously. I've always been confident as an artist in saying that, I can create whatever it is that I can create and put out, but I would look at people's playlists and whatever it is that they're listening to and factor that into how I make my music. And it isn't until recently that I've gotten back to this comfortable point where I'm not factoring in what people want anymore.
nice.
My girl said something to me recently, and she's like, you know I feel like I'm having success with my clothes, but I feel like I'm bullied into making certain garments or whatever based off of the climate that we're in. And I'm
Okay.
like, I was able to have another epiphany based off of what she told me because I went through that as well. I felt
Hmm.
like I was being pushed into making a certain type of music based off of who was commenting on my thing, based off of who I felt like I needed to satisfy. So, you know, I just got back to a point where I'm making music not selfishly for myself, but
Hmm.
I'm making the music that I'm comfortable making. So, just continuing to grow and be the artist that I want to be.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Because like, if you're not growing, you're dying. You know, like whenever stuff happens, like I came into this philosophy recently, and it's not something I thought of on my own. So I'm not going to pretend like I created it or anything like that. But like I heard once that adversity happens for you, not to you. You know,
Yeah.
so like
Mhm.
whenever something challenging really arises, be it like in your personal life or your creative life or anything for that matter, like whenever you hit that roadblock or something that's like trying to stunt your growth, being able to get around it is going to be so much more beneficial for you as a person as opposed to just like letting it consume you and stuff, because you've gotten past the hard part, you know, and everything from then on just becomes that much easier to deal with.
Yeah.
So I really love to hear that, man. The fact that you're
Yeah.
focused on growing, getting yourself out there more, and the fact that you've come into like this newfound comfort as well is amazing to hear. Because
Yeah.
like I told you, I love your music and I can't wait for you to put out more.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, for
Thank you.
sure. Of
Really appreciate that.
course, I appreciate you, bro. Yeah, no. So I guess that's where we're gonna wrap it up. Mark, thank you so much for coming out.
Yes, sir.
I can't wait for you to release more stuff, hear more features, to buy some clothing,
Yeah. Yep.
to go on the pod and everything in the future that's coming for you, bro. It's
Appreciate that, man.
for
Everybody
sure.
tuning in, continue to tune in. This is something amazing that my guy Enrique is doing. And yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity. Continue to stream Marathon Man. Follow me on IG, Marc_Baze, MARC_BAZE. And yeah.
Look at that. That's perfect. I didn't even have to tell you like to like tell the people where to find you. Yeah, no. Fuck, I just dropped my pen. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. It really means a lot, especially if you stood all the way to the end. Once again, my man Marc-Baze over here on my well, for me, you're on my left. I don't know. I might be on your right on your screen. But thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.